Good morning. Hello, everyone. It is, well, I don't have my watch on me. 7:30, almost on the dot. It is Tuesday, November 16th, and it is a busy day in Washington. We had a lot of ground to cover. There is a lot going on in Washington. So, we're going to dig right in, because I'm going to try to make this video a little shorter than what we normally do, because there's a lot of people that share these and there's a lot of information that we got to get through. So I'm going to just jump right in. We're going to start and we're going to focus solely on reconciliation, the Build Back Better, aka Build Back Broke, aka Biden's blueprint to bankrupt our country. We are going to start and focus solely on this hot, flaming pile of garbage. Ugh. This is it. This is the bill. This is the bill. And no one has read it. At least not the Democrats. I know I've been making my way through it. You can see all my little tabs. All my handy dandy tabs are the most egregious parts in it. So, reconciliation. This is different than the infrastructure bill. Really, really important that we keep the two for the purposes of fighting it this week. We are focused 100% on reconciliation, not infrastructure. Infrastructure already passed. It was a total garbage bill. We could dig into all the horrible things in that, but I want to focus solely on infrastructure. So here's where we're going to start. The timeline. The CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, which is responsible for scoring. That's what they call it, scoring each major bill. It tells us what the provisions cost, what the long-term effects are on our economy, what it's going to cost everyday taxpayers, etc. We do not have a CBO score on this reconciliation bill. Now, this reconciliation bill is the ultimate gem of the Biden administration's agenda. Like, this is their key signature piece of legislation that they're trying to pass. It is riddled with crap. Riddled, absolutely riddled with crap. I'm going to talk to you about that, about some of the crap that's in there. We've been talking for weeks about this bill and all the garbage that's in there. They have rewritten it multiple times. They've changed it in the middle of the night. It's been a disaster. But as far as the timeline for this week, again, it's Tuesday, November 16th. It is 7:30 in the morning. I am giving you the most current information that I have as a member of Congress, what to expect this week. And I'm going to tell you what's in it, and then I'm also going to tell you how you can help. So, the CBO score is slated to come out on this Friday. Keep in mind that members of Congress are only here until Thursday. So what that means is Nancy Pelosi is going to try to force a vote before we get the CBO score. Anybody who tells you that it is okay to vote on a bill without knowing the true cost of it is full of crap. I think we can all agree on that. So she's going to try to force this before we have the CBO score. If she gets enough pressure, aka we make enough phone calls and put the pressure on the moderate Democrats and the progressives, if we can do that, she's going to try to keep Congress here either through Friday or the weekend, which she has done multiple times, and force a vote after the CBO score comes out. That happens a lot. She messes with our schedule a lot. So it's a very good possibility that we could be here through the weekend, voting late into the early morning hours. Definitely a possibility. So that's the timeline for the CBO score. Part of the deal that the Democrats, the moderate Democrats, struck with Nancy Pelosi and the progressives like AOC was that they were going to wait for the CBO score to come out. Well, the timing didn't work out so great for Nancy. So that's where this little conundrum kind of comes in with the timing and the CBO score. Now, we've had other tax groups that have scored this bill. They've read through it, and they have said that this is going to be close to $5 trillion. $5 trillion. Keep in mind, this is not a Republican group. It's not a Democrat group. These are nonpartisan groups that are coming out saying that the cost of these programs built into the reconciliation bill, they are going to be upwards of $5 trillion just to start, upwards of $68 trillion over the course of 10 years. And that's because there's no sunset provisions built into the bill. So really, really dangerous. And y'all are smart. We know as working class folks that the more money that the government spends, the less money that we get to keep in our pocket. And let's be honest, the government cannot spend our money better than we can. That is why it is so important that we cut government spending, that we work to try to lower taxes, that we get inflation under control, so that we, as taxpayers, can keep more of the money that we earn, because government doesn't earn money. They spend money, and they spend our money like it is a free-for-all, like it is a shopping spree, and we do not want that to happen. So, and hold on a second, my husband's calling. I have to answer this, hold on. Hi, honey. Good morning, babe. I'm doing a Facebook Live right now. And you're on it right now. I'll call you after. Love you, babe. Sorry, guys. Marriage tip, always answer when your spouse calls. He is just wrapping up his 24-hour shift at the fire station, so I always check in with Matt on in the mornings first thing, and he was on a call, so sorry about that small interruption. But so that is the deal on the timeline. And so our goal for this week is to deny Nancy Pelosi the votes once again. 4 votes is all we have to deny. 4 votes is all we have to deny Nancy Pelosi, and that kills the bill in the House. We can do this, and you guys have been doing it for weeks by calling and calling and calling and shutting down the Capitol switchboard, making it so uncomfortable that no one can vote for this. You guys have been rocking it. So I'm going to go through some of the most egregious provisions of this bill, and I'm going to give you the page numbers of where you can find it if you want to look it up. I think that we've got to be absolutely meticulous in how we approach this, because so much bad information has gone out about this bill, and so I want to give you the actual page numbers with some of the most egregious parts of this bill. So here we go. All right. Part of the policies that have been snuck in since the original introduction is it increases government price setting for prescription drugs, which is going to reduce the private investment in drug research and development. So if you have chronic diseases out there like cancer, ALS, Alzheimer's, all the research and development that goes into this, all that is going to basically get cut under this bill, because the government is going to try to engage in price setting. You okay? Oh, Adeline, our comms director, just walked in, so she's working on something. The other thing, the banking surveillance apparatus. So we've talked a lot about the $80 billion with a B. That money is going to double the number of IRS agents that spy on bank accounts for everyday Americans. There's an additional little provision in there that no one's been talking about. It spends $500 million to hire new Department of Justice Tax Division agents to bring civil and criminal cases against Americans. That is on page 878. Oh, and the prescription drug page, where it talks about how it's going to increase the cost of drugs and reduce research and development into normal prescription drugs fighting chronic diseases. That's page 1977. One of the really, really stupid, egregious ones in here is all the tax credits for trial attorneys. If you are an ambulance chasing attorney, you get a tax credit under this bill, because we all know that the lobbyists and the tax attorneys and the trial attorneys got their little chunk in this bill. So on page 1970, the provision modifies current law expensing rules for plaintiffs' attorneys to deduct out-of-pocket litigation costs in the year that they occurred, rather than waiting until the conclusion of the litigation. That's a nice little tax credit to all those trial attorneys that go and chase ambulances. That's wonderful. Also, we've talked about this before, tax credit for journalists. This is a move to start state-sponsored media. So hometown newspapers, it creates a tax credit that is applied against Medicare employer taxes for wages paid to journalists. That is on page 1957. Essentially what it does is it creates a tax credit for hometown newspapers that are already on life support, and for liberal outlets across America that have seen a decline in readership for a number of reasons, but a lot of it deals with liberal bias. That now is in here, so state-sponsored media. That's fun. Ooh, tax credits for electric bicycles. A tax credit of up to $900 when someone purchases an electric bicycle. And the credit doesn't phase out unless you make $150,000 or more. That is on page 1527. Billions for tree equity. $2.5 billion slush fund is now created using taxpayer dollars to give to radical environmental groups to plant trees and advance what is called tree equity. Tree equity. I'm not quite sure what that is, but that's on page 18. Money for gun control. If you are a Second Amendment advocate like I am, you're adamantly against gun control, because all gun control does is keep guns out of law-abiding citizens' hands. This bill sends $2.5 billion, with a B, to community-based violence intervention initiatives. That is all red flag laws. That is used as a grant and has been used as a grant. We've seen the results of this across America to deny due process to Americans and stripping their gun rights. That is on page 876. Let's see. Page 245 requires all daycare facilities and people who run them to have college degrees. I don't know why you need a college degree to run a daycare facility, but that's in this bill. Because you know what that's going to do? That's just going to increase the cost of daycare, which ironically, guys, I'm sorry I'm being super saucy this morning, but this crap you can't make up. This is a memo that the Democrats put out yesterday. It is dated 11/15/21, Monday. This was out yesterday. They said, Democrats will deliver by fighting for American workers and families. Soon we will expand on President Biden's Build Back Better agenda, extending the Biden child tax credit. 14 hours ago, Nancy Pelosi stripped the child tax credit out of the bill. So their memo from just 24 hours ago is outdated because it was going to cost too much and they were receiving too much blowback. So not only did they strip the child tax credit, which was one of their signature pieces in the bill, now they're requiring college degrees for daycare, which is going to increase the cost of daycare for everyday working families. Oh, and if you're a faith-based daycare, you no longer can do that. It phases you out. And that is on page 214. Doesn't really seem like this bill is for the working class or for families or seniors or veterans or really any everyday American. But what it does do is it supports illegal immigration. And illegals who are here are now eligible for in-state tuition as well as all of the government programs that everyday Americans can enjoy. That is on page 1647. Illegal immigrants eligible now for federal student aid and in-state tuition. Isn't that interesting? Now, if you are an employer, this should scare the ever-living bejesus out of you because it creates a new civil penalty against employers up to $100,000 and subjects directors and officers to penalties that wouldn't apply to union bosses or officials. It coerces businesses to meet union boss demands, and it also forces unionization across American businesses. It strips states' right to work. It is awful. This is a total bailout, total boom for the unions. And it increases by increasing Fair Labor Standards Act penalties by 900%. That is on page 105. Literally, I have 42 of the most egregious things in here, and I'm just like highlighting the ones that are in here. It gives wealthy Americans tax credits. Hundreds of billions of dollars in green energy tax credits will be given to those who can afford to drive expensive electric vehicles. That is on page 1434. I don't know about you, but I cannot afford a Tesla. I can't. And I wouldn't be caught dead driving a Prius. So, and right now the way you can't even find vehicles to purchase, let alone, I always buy used. You can't find used vehicles. The inventory in the dealerships is zilch, none. Call your local dealership, used or new. They will tell you that they're having such a problem getting inventory on the lot. And a lot of it goes back to 1, inflation, 2, supply chain crisis, 3, semiconductors. They cannot get the chips for the computers in the cars. This is a real problem. But now, under this bill, Biden wants to give tax credits to wealthy Americans who can actually afford the very expensive electric vehicles, which we all know are not actually green because they have a bigger carbon footprint than normal vehicles. The batteries are probably the worst thing in the world for the environment. So it's just pretty crazy. Utility bills. We're already seeing utility bills going through the roof. I know I've seen my rates go up in the northeast and where It's getting a lot colder, a lot faster because of cancellation of pipelines, because Biden stopped every project that we had that was making and continuing the process of making America independent when it comes to energy. And then he went to OPEC and begged for them to increase production. Amateur move. Anyways, it includes a tax on natural gas up to $1,500 per ton. Now, what does that mean? It costs 90,000 Americans their jobs that work in the energy industry. And because we are now dependent on foreign energy, the import cost, along with the broken supply chain, means that we are going to see skyrocketing rates on top of the over 6% cost of inflation. So for seniors on fixed incomes, this is a real problem. For working class Americans, this is a real problem. This bill only exacerbates the problem that we have with increasing costs in everyday goods and services. It fast tracks green cards. It is work permits to illegals, which, by the way, there's something pretty crazy going on right now. The numbers just came out yesterday. 1 in 25 people in America today is an illegal. 1 in 25 people here in the United States is an illegal. Think about that. This bill grants amnesty to that 1 in 25. Think about the impact that that is going to have on the social service programs for Americans that depend on that safety net. Think of the strain on resources. Think of how many families have come here the right way, who have really, I mean, it's truly a slap in the face. It absolutely is a slap in the face to people who have gone through the process the right way. And there's no mistaking that the process needs to be reformed, that there needs to be changes, that we need to update the process. Immigration has been broken, but that doesn't mean that you break the law. You cannot be a nation of law and order and a nation of laws and then come here the wrong way and break those laws. It's not right. And we're already seeing through the southwest border the crisis and how it has turned every single town in America into a border town. I could get sidetracked on that, but I'm not going to. Let me see what else we got going here. Oh, tax benefits for the top 1%. This bill would increase by more than 7-fold the cap on state and local tax deductibility, meaning that the top 1% wealthiest Americans would pay less in taxes. That is page 1,729. And just to kind of put a little pin in that, that means that 2 out of every 3 millionaires are going to enjoy a special tax cut due to this bill. Let me repeat that. 2 out of every 3 millionaires is going to enjoy a tax cut under this bill. Meanwhile, if you make less than $400,000, like most of us Americans, keep in mind, my husband's a firefighter, right? If you make less than $400,000, you're already seeing an increase in cost of everyday goods and services. You are going to be paying for this by almost a 30% increase. That is what we know. And the CBO score is coming out, and there's memos circulating around the White House saying, get prepared for the CBO score not to match what we've been saying. Remember, the White House has been saying that this bill costs nothing. We know that's BS. We know that. And if they thought for real that this bill cost nothing, they would not be panicking about the CBO score. They wouldn't be circulating memos around Capitol Hill and through the White House saying, please, everyone stay tight on messaging. We need to be united in pushing back against the CBO score that comes out. Guys, this is hot flaming garbage. Absolute hot flaming garbage. We know that this is bad for seniors. It gets rid of the rebate that was built in at the point of sale that was done under the Trump era. That saved seniors and people who have chronic conditions on prescription drugs. We know that. It repeals that. We know that the $80 billion goes to double the number of IRS agents to spy on everyday Americans' bank accounts. We know that this bill is fraught with problems and handouts for China, for the wealthy. It is absolutely insane, guys. We have got to stop it. So you now know some more provisions that are in it that are absolutely egregious. I mean, we could sit here for hours and hours and hours, it would days, and go through it. But now you know some of the page numbers and some of the more specific egregious things that are in this bill. We will post some of this up in the post text. Now, here's how you can help. Call your member of Congress, house.gov. House.gov. Type in your zip code, call your member of Congress. This bill has to die a very painful death, because if it doesn't, it will transform America. And that is not my words, that is the Democrats' words in their own memo. This is a Democrat memo right here that we got our hands on. This agenda isn't just transformative. I'm quoting here. This agenda isn't just transformative, it's also very popular, with 2 of every 3 Americans supporting the Democrat agenda. Folks, Biden is approaching some of the lowest approval ratings in history. He's approaching Carter era approval ratings, which is, I mean, he's upside down. More Americans, and this is across the board, this is not a Republican thing, this is an American thing. More Americans across the board disapprove of the Biden agenda than they do approve. They are lying, and they are telling everyone that they want to transform America for the worst. That is why it's so important that we get involved, we get engaged, and we fight back. We have to fight back. Call your member of Congress. When you call the DC office first. Say your name, give them your zip code, that way they know you are in the district. When they say, okay, what are you calling about? How can we help you? Say, I'm calling to encourage Representative whoever to vote no on the reconciliation bill. You can call it the Build Back Better, you can call it Build Back Broke, you can call it reconciliation. Everybody knows that this is the bill that we're talking about. The technical name for it is reconciliation. That is what you need to say. Vote no. I strongly urge my representative to vote no on the reconciliation bill. You don't have to give a reason why. If you want, you can pull any number of these provisions, the 42 provisions. We'll post up some that you can use to talk about. But there's so many egregious provisions in this bill that it is impossible to ignore. All you need to do is log that you are opposed to this. That's it. It'll take you less than 5 minutes. Once you call your member of Congress, call the neighboring Democrat if it's a Republican. And I know you guys say, it doesn't make a difference, I'm stuck with this member, you know, they don't listen. They do listen. They absolutely do listen. And I'm telling you, there are meetings every single day where they're trying to get a whip count. A whip count means they're trying to count their votes. The whip is the person who's in charge of counting the votes. Nancy Pelosi doesn't bring a bill to the floor unless she knows that she has the votes. So you guys have an opportunity once again to deny Nancy Pelosi the votes on a bill that will transform America for the worse. And I know you guys have it in you. You guys have been kicking ass, making sure that this bill does not come to the floor. So all you got to do, call your member of Congress, house.gov. Tell them to vote no on reconciliation. If you're feeling froggy, call another member of Congress. Call your 2 senators. This is not your state house, remember, this is the federal level. So house.gov. Do not call your state capital, call Washington. And that number starts with a 202. So if you're not calling a 202 number, you're calling the wrong number. And then the other thing you can do, if you want to be extra, you can call their district office. Their district offices are based in your hometown, in your community, so it'll have that area code, and you can call them because all members of Congress have both DC offices and district offices. So definitely call the DC office, 1, because all members are in the district, but 2, call the district office, and 3, call the neighboring representative as well. And y'all are going to absolutely help deny Nancy Pelosi the votes for, I think it's the 8th or 9th week in a row. But hey, no one said that saving America was going to be easy, right? So we're all in this together. We're going to fight back. We have to keep up the pressure all the way through this week. Remember, CBO score is coming out on Friday. We have to deny her 4 votes. That's all we got to do. Get 4 Democrats to vote no. Vote no. That's it. We can do this. We've absolutely got this. I cannot thank you guys enough for engaging, for sharing. It helps when you guys share this video. We've got to get the information out. People have asked a million times about what's in this bill. This bill is very dangerous, very, very dangerous, and we cannot let it pass. Our kids, our grandkids are counting on us, and I just can't thank y'all enough. So we are going to, oh my gosh, it's almost 8 o'clock. I have got to head out, but thank you guys so much. Call, share, share, share. Thank you. You guys are amazing. Let's go save America.